want to start?
Yeah, all right. So this is our final vlog for the semester. We're gonna reflect on a lot of the assignments that impacted us the most, some of our actions, and just the semester in whole and how we felt about it.
So I guess we'll start out first explaining like the community service that we did. So we decided to reach out to one of my connections in the community that I worked with previously, and we started working with the Disability Resource Center, which is a place that gives obviously provides people with disabilities like the means, resources that they need, and supports them in certain events. So some of the stuff we did was we helped them move offices from one to another. In the office we helped them organize boxes and put them in sheds and like kind of organize their new place. What else do we do?
We have the expo.
Yep. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So basically, I don't know. Like, let's talk about our work. Like, what is some of the things that we liked and learned from like our experiences working?
Well, the fact that we're all athletes and we revolve around teamwork all the time really helped that we had great teamwork, and just the sense of that we were really efficient when it came to moving boxes or moving, like dressers or
the big
things. We were very efficient in that. Like, it could have taken way longer than it actually did.
So we took like Kristen's truck and we went over to their place, and we like, what was some of the stuff we moved like?
Yeah, they had all those computers,
computers,
desks,
little filing cabinets, and
bookshelves.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was actually a pretty fun team experience. It was a nice day. We all got to know each other a lot better. That was the first time we had met outside like a vlogging or like blogging capacity. So like, it was kind of cool to like just hang out and do that, and it felt good to help them out because they needed all that stuff moved, and it felt good.
Yeah, definitely. And so then we kind of ran into this dilemma with our hours. So we had about like 8 or 9 hours, or I guess we have like 8 or 9 hours right now from helping them move and helping them like advertise for this event that was called the Walk-in Roll.
Mm-hmm.
So the Walk-in Roll was basically supposed to be this event where over at the Heritage Trail in Fredericksburg, it's this big event that people with disabilities would come in like wheelchairs and stuff, and they would basically do this like but like this the Heritage Trail. Yeah. And from what we were told, there'd be like a wheelchair obstacle course, just games and events, and like hopefully food. I don't know, but so we were supposed to do that, and that was going to be an all-day thing, and that was going to be the rest of our hours, probably like 7 or 8 hours that we needed, and it got rained out. I got an email at 7 in the morning from my Connect and saying that they canceled it. So that was last Sunday, and so we are now without about 8 hours. So that was kind of threw us off, but what we're doing now is tomorrow, Friday morning, we're going in and we're setting up for this expo that they fortunately have on Saturday. So the expo will be all day, and we can get those hours in from that and from the setup tomorrow. So that's kind of what we did to remedy the situation. But I think that's a big part of our experience is how that kind of fell apart. So I guess we could all just say like what we learned from that.
To start, I think communication was the biggest thing. It always sucks when unsuspected cancellations happen, but she did a really well job of like getting in contact with us, making sure that she got us the information and just let us know like other options that we had in order to complete the rest of our hours.
Yeah, it's definitely important to keep a line of communication even when things go wrong, because we were scrambling. Like, we had 1 week to find something, and so we went over there and we helped out, and just like some kind of organizational stuff in their office, and then she told us about the expo, and it was really great because like it comes right in time. We communicated with Professor Gower, and she told us that it was okay that our hours would be submitted a little late. And like we're talking about now, it was a good experience because a lot of times things don't go exactly as planned. So I think we did a good job of reevaluating and being flexible.
Yeah, I mean, I've been the line of communication because I know the lady, and so it was kind of hard to. Well, it was initially hard to like communicate with her and then communicate to you guys, but I think throughout the course of the semester, like we did that a lot better. So kind of by the end of the semester, when this happened, it was streamlined. Like we did it easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I emailed her, or she emailed me that it was canceled. I said, okay, like what else can we do? Hey, come in, move some boxes. I let these guys know. We set up a time, which worked out around all of our schedules, and we got in and got it done. So, and then are going to get this stuff done tomorrow. So, yeah, communication was huge.
Yeah, and it's always good to have a backup plan, just in case if obstacles like this come our way. And, it's just a great a manager skill just to have when things go wrong. So I'm glad that we kind of planned ahead and just kind of had a backup plan just in case too.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely going to like help us going forward, like after this group, like professionally and just personally. Like Sakai was talking about earlier, how like things don't always go as planned. You just got to be flexible. And I mean, yeah, we're doing that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're doing that.
hopefully we learn from that. All right, so moving on from that, I guess we'll talk about the biggest thing that impacted us individually from like the assignments that we did. So who wants to start?
I'll go. So for me, it was the SWOT analysis. Now I'm coming down to my my last 2 years of college, and it's just pretty much like great to have a self-evaluation to see where you're at and where you want to be. Kind of knowing your weaknesses is always better than knowing your strengths, honestly. So you can work on your weaknesses to make it become your strengths, and just all in all, you can become better at everything you do. So I thought the SWOT analysis was really great, just for myself and hopefully you guys, just to see where you guys are in life right now and see if you're happy with the way you're going with things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been going through like a bunch of like job stuff this semester, and SWOT analysis kind of helped me like contextualize it all and like, yeah, like I need to work on some stuff. Like this is good because, I mean, I don't know if you guys have been in interviews and stuff, but first, like one of the main questions they ask you, what are your strengths and weaknesses?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's something like if I had done like an interview like this year and they would have asked me that, I would have had no idea. But it's nice now that we've done like all those activities that they tell you what kind of leader you are, what kind of manager you are, and that stuff like you probably already know. But like if someone were to ask you, you wouldn't really have like you wouldn't have the information like available to tell them. And so I think now like I could tell someone what kind of leader I am, what kind of manager I am, well, what things might I struggle with, and what things I would probably excel at.
Yeah, it's coming, man. The interviews and stuff.
Yeah,
It is.
Who wants to go next?
I can go next. So I decided to talk about Carnegie. This book really helped me as an individual take a step back and analyze the way I go about social interactions. It showed me that there are like certain areas that need improvement, and you can easily take this book and use its teachings when moving forward. It'll definitely help all of us improve, especially when we get into the real world. It is, like you said, hard to get through your interviews and like actually land a job. So, yeah, I feel like this will definitely help us improve in that area.
Yeah, Carnegie was cool. When I first saw it, I thought it was going to be kind of like manipulative and like how to like trick
some
people or
like some
whatever.
48 Laws of Power stuff.
Yeah, some weird stuff. But yeah, reading it was cool to like to kind of see that like the way to influence people is to make them respect you, or not make them respect you, but to give them respect so that they can give it back. And yeah, I really thought that was like helpful to like just kind of the golden rule: treat people the way you want to be treated. I mean, I that's really important. Like you talking to someone, you have to be respectful to them.
Yeah, I would say, and that kind of relays to me, because the assignment that I think impacted me the most was also like the books we read. It was Carnegie and the Blink book, and I think those impacted me because they gave me immediate real life tools that I can use in like every day in daily life on campus, the way I talk to people, the way I interact with others. Because like in Carnegie, I think it forces you to step back and think about like, are you only interested in yourself? Like, do you only talk to people to hear yourself speak, or are you actually interested in what they want to tell you and what they think? And I think if you become like genuinely interested in someone, it makes them genuinely like you more. And that was kind of like the main point of Carnegie. And I think I took a lot away from that. And then along with Blink, you can kind of combine those things. And when you talk about your inherent biases as a person, that also forces you to take a step back and be like, okay, are these decisions I'm making, are these conversations I'm having, am I coming from a biased place? Am I understanding like who this person is and what they've been through? And I think that's important.
Yeah, and to like wrap up all these ideas about the books that we read, just kind of pretty much of a self-reflection or evaluation. It just made us really think about where we stand on certain aspects of social interactions and all that. So I thought it was a great tool to kind of keep us honest with ourselves and just pretty much move on for the better of everything.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess I'll go next, but it kind of ties in with everything. Like, I kind of already talked about like giving and receiving feedback. Those two readings that we did were pretty helpful because kind of like what Carnegie said, and like some of the chapters that we've read and people have presented, like if you're getting feedback, you need to be willing to take it and change and stuff. And then if you're giving feedback, you want to be respectful and do it in a way that's not going to shut the person out. So like, I don't know, we're all athletes, and so like me as the captain, Sakai, you can attest that I try and like, you know, obviously I yell at people sometimes, and I think that's definitely something I have to like work on. But overall, like you try and I know that like certain guys, if you go up to them and you scream in their face, they're not going to want to get better. They're going to literally like sink away, and it's just going to break the team apart. And so I think it's important. I mean, you can elaborate on that, but I mean, I think that's really important. That's really why I thought that was a good couple readings and some of the chapters on that too, because like you can't be shutting people out. You have to, as a leader, as a manager, you have to bring people together. I mean,
exactly. And yeah, no, on and off the court, these books really helped us as well. It's just a bunch of teamwork applications and all that. And like Cronin said, I mean, everybody reacts differently to criticism, so it's always good to understand, you know, how a certain person feels depending on the situation. So always be kind of aware of, you know, or be sympathetic of other people as well.
Do you guys like do that? I mean, because we're in basketball, I guess like the cool thing about this group was we kind of merged two sports together that are pretty big on campus and have a lot of influence. Like we're two most popular sports I think on campus are up there, and like we have a lot of influence to people and represent the school in like a right way. So I don't know what's your experience with that in baseball.
I would say as athletes, when you give criticism to someone, a lot of times we're used to just being on the field and like you're maybe really direct and almost a little mean about it. You're like, hey, like what are you doing? And a lot of times, like if you were to just like in the social world, like people outside of that kind of space of like just being in a sport and being really competitive and maybe just being in a job setting or a classroom setting, and you talk to them like that, they might have a completely different reaction than like say one of your teammates. And it's definitely you definitely got to be wary of how you speak to people like that, because everybody takes criticism and feedback a different way. And like I would say that's the biggest thing. Like it all comes back to being flexible and versatile. Like you can't just be one way to everyone. It doesn't work.
Just to add on to that, constructive criticism is definitely like important. That's what our coach does. He's always harping on us, but we just know we got to take in like what he's trying to tell us and like not dwell on it and try and improve from that. So
yeah, definitely. I think kind of just wrap up, like the reason I said that giving and receiving feedback is big because I think that's something like in the SWOT analysis, whatever. I think that's something like me personally I need to like work on is like taking criticism, and I think that like the little midterm thing that we did when you guys like or we all evaluated each other was really like good for me personally because you guys said some things you liked, you said things you didn't like, and it helped me try and improve for the second semester and for hopefully my personal, professional, and all my goals. So I think that's why it was really impactful for me. Did anyone knock on with their individual thing?
I think everyone's good. So
True.
what else do we have? We can talk about.
So I guess just biggest takeaway. Like, what are you gonna take away from our group work?
From our group work?
Yeah, like one, I don't know, an event or
Yeah, I would take away. Communication. Like I think we were pretty good at it in the beginning of the semester, but we got a lot better at it. Like to now, because we all got to know each other's schedules and stuff like that, and I think we got a lot better at setting a time. And when we communicate that time, everyone's there, and we make sure we get our work done when we're there, because like we can't afford to waste time.
I also think having like a positive attitude helped us kind of just like bond better and just complete our tasks in like a more manageable way. If you're sitting there with like a crappy attitude, it's just gonna make the whatever you're doing longer and less. I don't know the word, like attractive. I don't know what to say, but yeah, just having a great attitude just helps out a lot.
I think you mentioned before we started recording this video like how good it is to have other teammates that are also like as committed as you are to like working hard.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely makes everything a lot easier if you guys are on the same page and you guys are all like task oriented. It just makes it a lot easier.
And going off of him, just our teamwork. I thought our teamwork was really great from day one. Got a lot of our tasks done, and we're very efficient with everything. I know, like at times, our schedules didn't all match up, but we're all able to communicate and pretty much work off of that and kind of integrate everything together at the end of the day. So, I thought our teamwork was A1. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway is this last little week that we've had, and kind of just how unpredictability is ultimately kind of a good thing. I mean, we were going to do the walk and roll, and we were going to talk about that. And we had plans to like bring the basketball team and some of the baseball team out to there, and I was contacting her about having them volunteer. We were going to take pictures. It was going to be great, and then it all falls apart. And so it's kind of like tested our team willpower and like resiliency of like, hey, what are we going to do now? And I think that we didn't really skip a beat. We picked it up and switched it around, and now I think that this is a good thing to talk about and learn from in how things can fall apart, and unpredictability is really a good thing. I think we all got like closer in this last week because of all the situations that happened. We really had to like meet up and like schedule our things in a quick manner as opposed to the long term that we've been doing. And I think we've done a really good job at it. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, and then one more thing to add, like in terms of our team, I obviously knew Steve before this semester, but I had never met Sakai or John, and it's definitely been a cool experience to start this group, and like from our first meeting where we were just like doing introductions, like we didn't even know each other at all. But now, like, we see each other on campus, and we're like, "Hey, what's up?" Maybe like eat lunch together or something. And it's definitely cool to like really get to know someone and become friends with some people that you didn't even know before, just by working with them.
For sure. Anyone else have anything to say? I think that's a good spot to leave off.
Yep.
All right. Well, we will see everyone with our reviews.